Well, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and it looks like somehow Sony's something to do with Spider-Man, I think, universe is going to return. Okay, here's where we're at with this. Sony CEO Tom Rothman, who we have a lot to say about, we'll talk about him in a second, in an interview that we're going to play a clip of in just a second, confirmed that Sony is not done making Spider-Man spinoff films that probably have nothing to do with Spider-Man. Now, before I bring on Colton and Tommy here to talk about this, I want to give you guys a little bit of a TLDR on how we got here and what exactly this means. So I know a lot of you know this already, but bear with me. Years ago, when Marvel was bankrupt, they were basically looking for any money whatsoever because the company, and this is true, put their entire fortune into Pogs and toys, which didn't pan out. So they sold the film rights to all their characters to different studios for like nothing. And they made this deal with Sony. It was a real sweetheart deal for the studio, where as long as they kept making Spider-Man movies or Spider-Man-centric movies, they were allowed to basically keep the rights forever. And this is why, for instance, we didn't get Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 because they were running up on a deadline and they had to put a movie out. So they did the reboot with Andrew Garfield instead. The whole thing where Tom Holland is in the MCU is a separate deal worked out where Sony and Marvel Studios share the characters. Now, as soon as the Marvel Cinematic Universe became a thing and the Avengers made $1 billion, every studio in town tried to cash in on the shared cinematic universe, which is how we got, for instance, the Dark Universe. And I'm proud to say that my Twitter account still has more followers than the Dark Universe's Twitter account, and et cetera, et cetera. So Sony then tried to take their little Amazing Spider-Man franchise and spin it off into a whole network of other spinoffs, which is why there were so many Sinister Six teases and Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then they got the idea that, well, maybe, you know, since we have like 10,000 Spider-Man characters, maybe what's possible is that we can just take Spider-Man, let Marvel Studios use him, and then we'll use spin-off characters like Venom to anchor our universe. And that's pretty cool. Venom's cool. He kind of looks like Spider-Man, but it didn't stop there because they had Venom and Kraven, who's never had a significant comic book of his own, Morbius, who frankly is not even my favorite member of Midnight Suns, let alone my favorite Spider-Man adjacent character, Madam Web. Oh, my head hurts remembering all this. And it was all supposed to set up some kind of spider crossover. And when you read the behind the scenes stuff about Madam Web and what they were originally trying to do, it is hilarious how mishandled this franchise is. And, you know, we thought going into this that we were out of the woods. But to talk about this, I'm going to bring on a couple of my best buds. We've got the guy who's trapped in our TV and doesn't know it, so please don't tell him, Colton Ogburn. Hi, Colton. Before we get into Sony and Spider-Man, I want to know, how are you? Okay, now bringing him on, you guys know him as the guy who's always on break. We have Mr. Tommy Bechtold. What's going on? Tommy, everybody wants to know, how are you?
Oh, man. Well, I'm excited to announce a reboot of the Tommy-Verse. That's right. That's great. All of your favorite Tommy characters are coming back with a fresh new take. And leading the charge is film darling and local tolerant man Quentin Tarantino, charged with envisioning the Tommy-Verse moving forward. It's all
Tommy-Verse. Okay, yes. I thought you meant the Tommy-Verse related to you. I was like, what other characters named Tommy? No, the Tommy-Verse you're talking about is the end of St. Elsewhere when the kid looks in the globe.
Yes.
Tears and The Wire take place in the same universe, right? The whole Tommy-Verse thing. That's definitely a universe I would be more interested in diving into than another Sony-Verse. Gang.
I'm psyched.
Are you?
Yeah.
For what?
There's 900 characters that Sony has the rights to.
Oh,
we can do them all
right.
Now. Come on, the Iguana, Hypno Hustler, and the Mercy Killers.
Slide with a Y, the guy who invented a special Teflon so he can slide around on things. Yeah, who could forget good old mainstays like that?
The child-sized clone of Spider-Man.
The thing is, they're not even doing this right. Like, I would like to see, if you're going to do it, like, I don't know, imagine The Lizard as a body horror movie. I mean, it's The Fly, essentially. I think that David Cronenberg owes them royalties on that, right? I agree, Colton. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but if you're going to do it fun, I guess. I don't know. Can we just real quick before we get into talking about something to Spider-Man, I think let's give this man the benefit of the doubt. Now, Tom Rothman, if you guys don't know, head of Sony. I first heard this man's name years ago in a scathing editorial written by Moriarty at ain'titcool.com. We're not going to read the whole thing. This ruined Moriarty's screenwriting career. He got personal with Tom Rothman. It's a personal letter. He says, you're not a geek. He insulted the man's wife. But then he laid out some really interesting things about how Rothman handled the X-Men franchise, which was at Fox when he was an executive at Fox. And basically, according to inside sources who knew Moriarty, Rothman never had faith in the franchise. That's why he cut the budget, moved up the release date. He wanted to cut his losses. And he always kind of wanted to end it because he just saw it as this thing that was being expensive. There's other things in his past that kind of go like, oh, God, this guy's made some bad decisions. But hey, you know what? You got corporate shareholders. You got your paymasters over at Sony Corporate. I get it. The guy's got a lot to deal with. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And let's listen to his vision for how the Spider-Verse could, continue in a new creative direction. And this, by the way, I'll have the podcast name for you in just a second of where this actually came from. Let's roll that clip.
Where are we in the Spider-Man franchise? Not at the animated Spider-Verse. Is the larger Spider-Verse dead? Are you going to go back to those at some point?
Yes.
You will.
Yes.
But it'll be a fresh reboot.
Yes.
New people. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that actually made me feel kind of bad for him. The way he's just like,
don't.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
You
don't have to do it. You don't have to do this. Now,
Ryan,
I'll throw this out there. If you do, say, a Spider-Man movie and Black Cat's in it, and she's really cool, and you think she could support her own film, spin her off, baby. It worked for Catwoman, right?
No.
All right, Colton, lay it on me, brother. I know you got thoughts.
Ethan, roll the clip. Ethan.
Never learn.
No, they never learn. They never learn. They never learn.
For the love of God, I hope, looking at that, because he's not the one that actually said, yeah, we're rebooting it. I'm glad that it was like a leading question kind of from the interviewer. So I'm hoping that maybe he's kind of like, yeah, I'm the studio exec. I'm not going to sit here and admit failure. Of course, we're going to keep doing it. I hope if what he means is we're going to try to do this a third time, the Sinister Six, something to do with Spider-Man, but he has nothing to do with it, universe, burn the place down. But if what they actually have planned is, yeah, Sony's going to make more movies that are live action than just Spider-Man, but we're actually going to work more closely with Marvel because we're really enjoying our relationship there with them. And maybe we could pick up some slack, do a Venom movie, do a whatever movie here or there to be part of the MCU. Then that sounds great. Go for it. I'm all for that. But if it's
Daniel RPK, good.
If it's just more of this, if it's just like, oh, we're going to do a Kraven movie, we're going to do a Silver Sable movie, we're going to do a Aunt May movie.
Silver Sable would actually make a good movie. Like Silver Sable's not a character whose entire existence depends on Spider-Man. Silver Sable's, she's the head of a country. She's head of a spy network. Like there's really cool shit there with her. She's Black Panther kind of, but not as cool.
That's fine. Do it, but don't have, oh, I'm reading this newspaper and look, Spider-Man swinging by in this picture. Don't do any of that. Just make your Silver Sable movie. Don't set up all this loose connection to Spider-Man that you can't do anything with. Like, ugh.
Well, let me throw in there a couple of leaks and shit that we've heard over the past couple of years. Now, Kraven, I don't know if you guys ever told you this, the Kraven world premiere that I went to in New York City is one of the funniest nights of my life. I went with our editor, Lee Mazzio. It was amazing. The director got up, and everyone's there. Aaron Taylor Johnson, the kid who plays young Kraven. It's his big break. Ariana Dubois, from West Side Story is there. She looked great. God, she's getting bad career advice right now. And the director got up ahead of time and said, well, I wish I could thank you all for coming. And this has been such an experience. Like, I wish I could thank you all for coming. He said it in a way that sounded like he did it on accident, but I think it was on purpose. They knew they were sitting on top of a turd. And Aaron Taylor Johnson really earned my respect because afterwards he was talking to reporters, he was meeting with people, he was doing the thing. But I was going to the John, coming back opposite was an actor who's in, I'm not going to say who it was, but like this person who I saw ahead of time and looked like just looked so dejected, and nobody was wanting to talk to this person. And I was like, that's sad and kind of funny.
It was Russell Crowe, wasn't it?
It was Russell Crowe. Yeah. Yeah. He's never been the same.
Russell Crowe
since,
probably wasn't even there. He probably doesn't even know he was in that movie.
Of course he wasn't there. He does not know he was in that movie, but he was the best part of that movie. But even then, Craven has a sensibility where if Craven would have come out in 2005 and not been about Craven the Hunter, it's kind of a fun, schlocky B action movie that could have become a different thing after. It could have been like, the Transporter series or something like that. Go ahead, Tommy. What you got to say?
Well, I was just going to make a bathroom Russell Crowe joke about 30 Odd Foot of Grunts, which is famously his band. But I'm not going to do that now because we've moved on from it. So
Russell Crowe really, really, really hurt the Les Mis adaptation. I'm sure he's a fine individual, but could not sing those notes worth of shit. But we're not talking about musical theater here. We're talking about superheroes. The couple rumors we've heard is that after Craven and Venom, essentially, Sony said, we're not doing this for a while because they had never had a hit after Venom 2. Venom 3 did modest post-pandemic box office, but Venom 1 was like the big moneymaker, made almost $1 billion. Probably off of people who thought it was part of the MCU. So that's one rumor. The second rumor is, this is from Daniel RPK, that after all this happened, that Sony was more, quote, open to working with Marvel. Now, this could mean Spider-Man appearing in more things or sharing more Marvel-centric characters. So you're right, Colton. It could be that we'll get Sydney Sweeney as Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman or something like that in a different set of films. Or I want to throw out my conspiracy theory here. Well, before I get to my conspiracy theory, do you guys think, I want to know your scenario here, where is there any way this works and any way they could reboot it and do it right, even if it means Spider-Man not in the MCU?
I don't think directly. So knowing that this is what we were going to talk about on this live stream, I did some research into like who Sony actually has the rights to. And the thing about Spider-Man, in my opinion, his villains are, they all kind of look ridiculous. Like they're all like they're very colorful. They have crazy outfits, crazy powers. I feel like this universe and these characters, other than like the main Spider-Man villains that are pretty iconic in Spider-Man's main crew, should just be animated forever. They should just do Spider-Man animated content, because all of these crazy villains that are made out of different elements and animals and whatever, they come together animated and look much better and are much more enjoyable. You can hire great voiceover artists. You're not beholden to an actor looking a certain way to play that part. You can hire the best voiceover actors for it. Just make, one great animated film every 2 years in the Spider-Verse, and we're fine. Instead of 3 Spider-Verse movies over the span of 40 years, like the pace we're on now.
But they're so good. I mean, they're really just so worth it.
Yes,
I would rather get one truly great masterpiece every 40 years than, whatever number the Despicable Me movies are on right now.
It's doomed to fail. It doesn't matter if Sony puts out a great Morbius movie, a great Craven movie, a great Scorpion, whatever. It's doomed to fail because there is always going to be this feeling of something is missing. There's always going to be this feeling if we have Spider-Man at home.
Right.
You can't make it work. It can't work. I see no scenario where they made it work with Joker once, and then we saw where that went. And I like Joker too, but
I like Joker too.
Yeah, I like Joker too.
But Joker 2 for me is a guilty pleasure. That's the same kind of. Joker 2 is like playing Grand Theft Auto and not doing the missions. It's just destroying
they just
things.
Squandered it, man. They could have made this the Venom verse and had him be the lead of it and team up with Madam Web to fight Morbius, or him and Craven team up to fight Morbius or something.
This doesn't sound interesting though. I mean,
because then it's like, well, where's Spider-Man?
Well, that's the question that is always asked. Where is Spider-Man? It's been asked by J. Jonah Jameson, and it's been asked by viewers at these Sony movies for years.
And they make it worse by not only he's not there, they shine a light on the fact that he's not there. Right. They have Morbius walk by this giant portrait of Spider-Man in the trailer.
No, that was only in the trailer.
Yeah, I said
Oscorp
in the trailer.
Tower. Yeah, Oscorp Tower. Oh, I see what you mean. Not like in the context of the movie. They did have Oscorp Tower in the movie, though.
They should just have a giant cutout like Looney Tunes of Spider-Man's body, like he ran through a wall. Like through
Are you saying Oscorp?
Yeah.
Tommy, how do you say it?
How do I say it? I say Oscorp.
Yeah,
Oscorp?
see, Ryan's
you
wrong.
Pronounced the P at the end?
Yeah. Get with it. Get with it.
Here's the thing. When you actually read comic books for years and you pronounce it one way in your head, that's the way I'm going to go with it. It took me decades to say Days of Future Past instead of Days of the Future Past. Thanks for pointing that out, Colton.
Well, and as
also, I used to say
boy,
Magneto all the time instead of Magneto until the animated series came out. Go ahead, Tommy.
I was going to say, as a 14-year-old boy, I wrote many love letters to Hermione, my favorite wizard from Hogwarts. So imagine my surprise.
When they make the movie. And
in my defense, I can't read. So thanks.
I know. But there's pictures, though, and there's audiobooks that, would have set you straight, whereas I didn't have those because I grew up poor and in a trailer park. Here's one thing they haven't tried yet. Let me just throw this out there. They haven't tried this, I would say, since Venom 1. They have not tried making a good movie. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. If you're going to do this, if you plan on creating a cinematic universe, you go back and look at what worked, and Iron Man was a good movie. Thor and Captain, they're good. And the Avengers was a great movie. So maybe the trick there is to tell stories well in good movies. I don't know. I'm saying, like, if Morbius would have been great, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We'd be celebrating Morbin time for Morbius 3 coming out this fall for Halloween.
I want to know, because, I mean, damn, you would think that they go into it with the intention of, we're going to make a really great movie. But it's almost... It seems intentional how bad they make these movies. I mean, Madam Web, Craven, The Last Dance, they're all Morbius.
Well, Madam Web had to go through all of these last minute changes too. And like they completely reworked the plot.
Yeah. And why?
Because they were trying to tie it too close to Spider-Man, according to rumors. And Marvel went, "What the hell are you doing? You're breaking our agreement."
Yeah, because Sony apparently hasn't read their freaking contract with Marvel. That happened with Venom. They had to cut that scene that they filmed with Tom Holland. Wait,
which scene are you talking about?
When the first Venom came out, it was heavily reported by I think maybe Variety ran it or something, that they filmed a scene with Tom Holland. There was a cameo with Tom Holland, and they wanted to put it in the movie. And Marvel was like, "You can't do that. Read the contract."
Well, then I wonder why they were able to do the post-credit scene, because they didn't film anything new. That was just footage from Far From Home. But what an FU. We should have known something was up when we saw that post-credit scene, because the post-credit scene he mentions the multiverse. Like, oh, cool. So yeah, we're doing a thing. Like, he mentions the hive mind in the multiverse, and you're like, all right, well, maybe they're going to do null for the next Spider-Man movie.
But did you notice? I used to think, okay, Feige approved that. He had to have approved it, right?
Sure. I thought so.
Did you notice that Venom? I think it was intentional that they didn't say Spider-Man. Venom goes, "Oh yeah, that guy." There's something there. And
then our dumbasses are making a post-credit scene video where we're like, yeah, and here's why it would be that guy, because he's connected to the Venom hive mind. And we're like totally buying into it. But then that goodwill ran out. I mean, if it ever existed, but I can't even say without laughing, man. That Adrian Toomes, the bass-backwards logic they used to pull Adrian Toomes over to the universe, where somebody went, okay, so what happens in Spider-Man No Way Home? Well, this rift opens up, and okay, cool, a rift, we can use that. The rift pulls people into the 616 universe. It doesn't pull people out, but apparently it did, so he could, oh my God, it's just the best. That is, for me, it's like,
how does he know it has something to do with Spider-Man?
We don't know. That's why we have to watch the next movie. And I remember watching Michael Keaton on a talk show where he was like, yeah, I just filmed some Vulture stuff. And we were like, oh, and we did like a little news. Like, oh, that's cool. He just did some Vulture stuff. I wonder what it was. What's the cameo for? Yeah. And it was that.
It's just so insulting. They think the audience is so stupid. The Venom thing really pisses me off, because why not actually have put Venom in No Way Home? I mean, you had the Sinister Five. You could have put Venom in there. instead of just doing this empty tease.
Yeah, but then that would be worse than what we got. Look, I'm one of these people. I'm a multiverse poo-pooer, right? You get all the fun nostalgia from No Way Home. I'm something of a scientist myself. Things like that. That's great. How you doing? Trying to do better to Doc Ock. That's all great. That's nostalgia. That last 5 seconds.
That one was a stretch.
Yeah, but yeah. I just, with that movie though, I look at it and go, I don't know. I kind of would have rather seen the fallout of his identity being exposed for the whole movie. I would have rather seen Dr. Octopus and Norman Osborn introduced in this universe. And at least, though, you can say that those 5 villains did have personal ties to the characters in the movie, kind of. You know, introducing Venom would have been a whole other thing. It would have been like, well, now Venom's here. And because they don't have Venom's origin story, I hope they're doing it in Secret Wars, and that's the subject of Spider-Man 5. It wouldn't have meant anything. It would have been a hollow gesture. What do you got, Tommy?
Well, first of all, I want to add that interview with Tom Rothman is taken from the Town podcast on the
Thank you, the Town podcast,
hosted by Matthew Bellamy. Great podcast that somehow manages to make the business side of Hollywood extremely interesting. So watch that when you're done watching ScreenCrush, but only after you're done watching ScreenCrush. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to add other than the agreement of the bewilderment of a lot of these what are supposed to be Easter eggs and teasers that happen in these movies that ultimately end up going nowhere or getting even edited afterwards, or different people see different versions of things. It creates the wrong kind of buzz. I feel like every single one of these Spider-centric or Spider-Man adjacent movies done by Sony has negative buzz from the get-go. And some of that is review bombing, and some of that is people just wanting to join the hate train. But a lot of it is the creatives themselves start to jump off ship so much faster than any other, giant monolithic franchise that I've ever seen. Dakota Johnson was slamming, or at least being vaguely critical of Madam Web on the press tour of Madam Web.
Basically during the movie as well.
Right.
You talk about somebody who is being forced to say hello to an adult. It had that feeling like a kid who's going, okay, say hi to Aunt Carol. Aunt Carol. That's what the whole movie felt like.
And I get that may be her vibe, right? Kind of over it is maybe her vibe on talk shows and stuff like that. The problem is, on a movie like Madam Web, there are no less than 1,000 people that worked on creating that through effects and through showing up to set every day, doing hair and makeup, doing catering, doing all that. So if you're this titular character and you hate this movie so much that you can't even bring yourself to lie, which is okay. I can respect not wanting to lie and be like, this movie was the most important thing I've ever did. It's there is a responsibility to at least try to sell the product that you were paid to do. In my experience, I've never been asked.
Well, what does she care? She's a rich Nepo baby.
True.
I mean, she grew up in Hollywood.
She this isn't an indictment on her.
She didn't give a shit. I will, because I feel the same way. I think when you're getting paid to do a job, God damn it, you show up and you do the job.
And that's why,
just
Ryan,
my background. I grew up working class. I don't care what the job is. You're there. You're getting paid. You agreed to the terms of service. Do your effing job.
And that's why, regardless of whether or not you have my mom hostage, I will always ride or die for ScreenCrush. In fact, I'm looking at some ScreenCrush merch right now, and I'm just wondering, is there anything for sale?
Oh, Tommy, you and your fat, that's awful, but I love it. We do have this Doomsday shirt. We have the Doom I Hate You 3000. And we have classics like Tony granting life to Ultron, Grogu getting booped. We got original trilogy. And we really need to update this sometime because we show the same ones every single time. But you can find these and many more down in the link below. Thanks, Tommy, for that. And I promise to release your mother into the woods. I got an idea here, though. I think maybe Tom Rothman's lying. Hear me out. So the last thing we hear from very reliable leaker Daniel RPK, and by the way, guys, we're now open to super chats. We got a few to catch up on in a second, but throw us some super chats if you want. If you don't, that's fine too. But we don't require super chats, but we do encourage them. Thank you. So let's say that you're Sony, right? And you got this situation. Colton's face immediately melts out from under his hat.
No, I'm not.
He's like, good. Okay.
You're Sony.
Well, corporations are people, guys. Let's just say that you're Sony and you're looking at your Spider franchise that ain't. Now, for one thing, at this point, Marvel probably needs Spider-Man more than Spider-Man needs Marvel. You can make a case for that, right? This is arguably the best time for Sony to get a new deal out of Marvel, right? Because they don't have much else going on right now. If you're in Sony's position, you're going, okay, we have learned the public and the fans Because what really drives these box office is the fans. It is a built-in group of people who will go see the movies no matter what, that other movies may not have, right? It's akin to name recognition. We don't have the fans on board. We have to earn back the fans' trust. And I think Rothman even said something like, you got to let it rest for a while and make the fans want it more or whatever, right? So basically said, we're doing a pause because you don't want to do too much. Sure, that's why. So maybe they're looking at this and they're like, maybe we want to renegotiate a deal with Marvel. And we want them to think that we are looking at other stuff. Maybe they start creating, like filling out the writers and producers around town, looking at different projects. And that would raise the price of their next deal. Or if they did want to sell Spider-Man outright, a huge piece of leverage they would have, that Marvel would have, is they would say, well, you're not making anything. So all you're making Spider-Man. So we don't care. Like it's not worth as much, which is basically why Star Wars only sold for $4 billion. Bob Iger told George Lucas, you don't have anything in active development. That could be the case. It could be that he is just telling fibs and doing corporate maneuvering, trying to get something out there so they can get a better price for it.
Here's what they need to do. And keep in mind, I dropped out of college. I got this job on a whim. You know, don't listen to me necessarily. It's big corporations. But what I would do is someone, maybe me, I don't know.
Yeah,
someone,
could be you. Could be Tom. Could be me.
The Spider-Man pocket of the MCU. They need a person who is half a Marvel Studios employee, half a Sony Pictures employee. He works under Kevin Feige and oversees because the MCU is starting to do this thing where they have these different pockets of the MCU because it's gotten so big. Have your Spider-Man pocket where Spider-Man share everything down the middle with Spider-Man. And then in terms of sharing, going to do you need one person who oversees that pocket. I don't think
it would ever work because Marvel would never. Marvel's whole thing right now is they're transitioning into quality over quantity, and I don't think they would ever take a chance on giving Sony any kind of creative control over something because.
But that's why they need their guy.
Now, but what can their guy do? I mean, you're talking about Sony corporate overlords coming in and saying, "Yeah, no, we got to put Black Cat in this because I just see too much messiness and too much overcrowding." We've already seen it happen. I mean, you can look at scripts like Craven and go like when the old lady said, or when the Ariana DeBois said, yeah, she died. Then she died. I never saw her after that. How did that make it into the movie? Where was the creative oversight for that kind of thing? And it just stinks of like screenplays getting rewritten at a clip or being edited, like changed around in post with different lines getting mashed up together. I kind of think it smells like that. Plus there's no characters, guys. There just never has been. I think we're being generous earlier when we're mentioning some of these great characters that Tommy name dropped. Tommy, can you give us a couple more of these guys?
Yes, of course. I'm talking about
Rocket Racer,
like the Stick Click and Captain Shebang, and of course the B-Boys and Clark Charleston, aka Nemo. And
that actually I take it back because we have the Clark Charleston, aka Nemo cinematic universe.
Ryan, what if I told you I just made all those names up and didn't even look at anything? That's how bad these characters are.
I was thinking Rocket Racer, who's this guy who has a skateboard that flies. But I mean, there's no characters apart from Silver Sable and Black Cat, which I think was one that they were originally looking at doing.
That was a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, Black and Silver, right? But even then, those two have nothing to do with each other. I mean, you could kind of, maybe she steals from Silver Sable, but in any case, it's more interesting if Spider-Man is there. You're never going to have this. It's not a universe that's like, for instance, if you had the rights to the Fantastic Four have all kinds of characters in their litany you could spin off. Silver Surfer, for example, other Heralds of Galactus, the Microverse. There's all sorts of really cool shit you could do with them because they're a team book with lots of different members and different things and a rotating roster. Spider-Man, it's a story of Spider-Man. And maybe that's why I never really liked the Venom comics and like when he's solo as a lethal protector. And I also didn't like the Venom movies for that reason. I think he works best in contrast to Spidey. Well, let me take a few super chats here, guys. Guys, the line is open for super chats.
We're getting some good ones about the Bills-Chiefs rivalry. I know that much.
I'll take your word for it. All right, Dude Diary. Now we'll get there in a second. Dude Diary gave us $250 Filipino pesos and said, hey, SC team. Some for Doug here. Honestly speaking, Sony could make a very good live action Spider-Verse. They just need to hire the right people to write and direct it. Much love from the Philippines.
Bingo.
Yeah, they totally could.
Not without Spider-Man, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. They need Spider-Man. But when we're saying Spider-Verse, I think maybe they might be referring to just the live action verse of Spider, not necessarily an adaptation of the Spider-Verse. Hell, I'll throw this out there, man. I want to see, like, imagine a practical effect Blade Runner-esque Spider-Man 2099. I mean, that's some dope shit. If you've ever read that comic book, that's an amazing comic. But again, that works better in the Marvel universe, because the whole point of Spider-Man 2099 was that he laid the groundwork for this whole new expansive section of Marvel comics that they were telling. And let's see here. We've also got Wagenbach gave us £5. Love when Colton and Tommy pop in for a chat. Me too, guys.
Oh, thanks, mate.
There we go. Dude Diary gave us 125 pesos from the Philippines again. Said again, more for Doug. I'll give Doug the treats in just a second. Just to add, they need to have a Spider-Man in their live action Spider-Verse films. Well, there you go. If you don't have Spider-Man, it doesn't work. At least in some way. Even if you want to make a Spider-Man film where you introduce like Black Cat, the Prowler is another, like before he became the whole story with Miles Morales, he was a different character, Hobie Brown. If they want to introduce characters like that who could theoretically spin off into their own books, that'd be cool, I guess. Yeah. If they're good characters, you have to actually tell a good story first. And we got Sean Bergen gave us $10, says 1,000 pennies for Mahomes blowing out his knee. And Game Tribe,
I want to say
500 pennies because Mahomes is better than Allen. All right, Allen,
this went in order, and I'd like to break this down. First, Sean Bergen donated 200 pennies for Tommy hating the Chiefs as much as me, which I appreciated. Then Game Tribe _TV, not to be outdone, donated 500 pennies saying Pat Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. And not to be outdone by Game Tribe, Sean responded with 1,000 pennies declaring for Mahomes to blow out his knee, which I think already happened. So
this now accounts for most of the pennies in circulation.
Yes.
At this point. All right, so cool. You cowards don't have the courage to keep this up. The Shadow 420 says, I always love how they wear different generation headphones, from wired over ear to wired earbuds to wireless AirPods. Just super cool to me. Talking about us, I guess. Yes. For like a weird evolution when you go from one side of the screen to the other. And Sky Whitaker gave us $10. Thanks so much. Says, thanks, you guys. It's been a bummer of a week, and you three always cheer me up. Also, fun fact, the entirety of the rebooted Spider-Verse will exclusively be set and filmed in New Jersey. Tommy, what do you think about that?
That can't be. That can't
Makes
be.
sense to me.
No, that can't be. Why would they do it in New Jersey? It's not safe for children or animals to be there. They're air quality.
Well, that's why they need Spider-Man's help. All right, we have a request here. We don't have to honor it. Can Tommy and Ryan fake a few seconds to chant Colton's name like it's his birthday or at Ruby Tuesdays? Please, thank you. Love you guys for $5 from More of 9.
I'm not going to do that.
Happy
birthday. It's Colton's special day. Happy birthday. Colton is a guy that we like very much. Colton is our guy.
People are tuning out now. There it goes. See, you got him excited. Calm down, buddy. Calm down. Calm down. All right, let's put that away. Twisted Slop 62. That was Tommy's nickname in high school. Twisted Slop. For $10, says Venom should have taken the place of the Lizard, in my opinion, in Spider-Verse, or in No Way Home. Connors didn't even die. Everything Sony has done besides Spider-Verse has been a disservice to the fandom, and it will likely stay a mess. I don't want to say everything they've done. I mean, they did make the Raimi trilogy, and I guess those amazing movies. People like those. Some people do.
Lizard and Sandman shouldn't have been in that movie. I'll die on that hill.
I don't think so either. I just don't think anybody. I mean, I don't know, man. The Multiverse saga as a whole, I don't want to go down that, but I'm working on a Kang video about it right now, and I'm just like, it's a loser of a concept. It's just it removes all stakes, and all you're doing is you're going, hey, wouldn't it be fun if if we could see Tobey Maguire meet Tom Holland, like that's really the gist of it. But boy, we did get some great moments out of that movie, like that part after Aunt May dies and they're there to comfort him on the rooftop. Like they're the only people who can actually understand what he's going through. That's awesome. And Peter stopping him from killing the Goblin and remembering what Aunt May tells him in Spider-Man 3.
That seems awesome.
That's amazing. I mean, there's some great stuff in it. But as far as the villains, I don't know, man. Like it was fun. It was a fun movie. I don't know what else I want, but
speaking of Lizard, he goes, "What about me, Max? Do I die?" And then they just keep going. They just keep talking. They just don't even answer it. What, are you going to turn me into a lizard? Exactly.
But also, Electro never knew he was Peter Parker. I think in our Plot Holes video, we explained it by saying, like...
They fixed that one, too. I was in the grid, taking in information.
But then later on, when he meets him, he says, yeah, to tell you the truth, I thought you were black. And he says, I'm sorry. Oh, God, that was great. Man. That was a great moment in that, because that also ties into like when Andrew Garfield was cast, a lot of people said, yeah, they should do Miles Morales, and Donald Glover was like kind of being held up as a potential Spider-Man. We've got from Vanessa Betts, $5 says, hi, Tommy, go Chiefs. Apparently this is a whole thing happening that you and I are not a part of, Colton.
Hi, Vanessa.
I'm used to that.
Sorry, did Patrick Mahomes, he blew out his knee during the season and not like playing go-karts or something?
I think he was running from his shrill wife. And he blew out his ACL.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well,
Jesus Christ.
There we go. All right. Armand Shazad gave us £5, said if Ryan Airy was a clown, he'd be called Ryan Scary and would run around screaming and laughing to himself as if this was all a massive inside joke.
Did the super chats all take an edible before the live stream today?
I don't know what's going on there, man. I don't know how they knew about Ryan Scary, but it's secret's out.
Oh, man. I love Ryan Scary. I got a Ryan Scary poster above my bed.
Apparently, we're getting some comments that some audio was cutting in and out, but I'm not sure whose, but it looks like it's working now. Sorry about that, guys. YouTube refresh problem. They're fixing it. Okay, great. The Cooper B1 says, love you guys. I'm 5 minutes behind, but wanted to tell Tommy my near daily favorite coffee mug is his mandatory fun design from a few years ago.
Oh, thank you, Cooper.
What's he talking about?
Nice. That was a mug from a previous job of mine that mandatory fun was a segment on my old live stream job. But guess what? It's always fun, and it's not mandatory on ScreenCrush.
Ryan, you need
mandatory fun's a great name.
You needed to do what I did. I didn't know, and I did this.
Okay. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah,
right.
In the middle of our live streams, I used to yell, "It's mandatory fun," and then make the other hosts do some sort of game that was my whim. It was very Drew Carey, whose line is it anyway, of me, and those mugs were cool, and I appreciate that. Thank you, the Cooper B1.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I got my mom.
Spike Freeman gave us two. You got what?
Nothing. No, I got my mom loves frogs, and you know my mom, Ryan, and also fart humor, and it's a mug with a frog sitting on a toilet, and it says sometimes I just be farting.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah.
The mug I'm drinking from right now says I can't right now, I have a cat on me, and then it's got a drawing of me and my cat Artemis, because that's the rule in the house. If there's a cat on you, you don't have to move no matter what's going on.
I agree.
And Tony Sheets gave us $2 and said they have no idea what they're doing. Say hi to Doug. I think he's talking about Sony and not us. I will say we also don't know what we're doing. If you've been following the live stream, you know how long it took us to learn how to be live on it. The first one we were talking for about 30 minutes with nobody listening, which is kind of like now. Let's check in real quick, guys. Let's check in.
My YouTube channel.
Nah, your YouTube channel is great though, man. People, if they don't check it out, it's their loss and they're dumb and they're ignorant scum.
I agree.
So let's check in real quick. Oh, wait, real quick. $5 from Tyler. Hey, love you guys and everything you do. Do you think they could do a cinematic universe with Miles separate from the MCU and Tom leaving it open to cross over?
Totally.
Really, just yeah. I mean, with Miles, sure. He's got a rogues gallery. I mean, but
that's a best of both worlds scenario, because then they could just be like, hey, Marvel, we're giving you the Tom Holland, Peter Parker franchise. We're going to hire Marvel Studios to make it. You give us half the money, and we're going to go do this Miles Morales one. Yeah.
That actually seems like a more streamlined, effective approach. If they're just like, we're going going to make big budget Miles Morales movies on our own. You guys go ahead and make the Tom Holland movies and split the bill.
My guess is they can't do it under the current agreement because of the name Spider and Man in his name. I want to see Miles in the MCU, man. Like, I'm sorry. I'm tired of like every Spider-Man MCU movie having mandatory cameos. We'll see how the Hulk pans out in it. But other than that, I like him being under that studio. I like the potential for him to pop into other adventures. I would just rather him be in the MCU. I'd rather Miles be in the MCU. I think it would be super cool if like they did a storyline where, you know, like in the comics when T'Challa was exiled to New York and he became a school teacher and maybe he meets Miles. Like there's all these sort of fun connections you can do, which don't feel fun in the Spider-Verse things because they all revolve around Peter Parker. Another 125 Filipino pesos from Dude Diary says, if they're really planning a reboot for the Spider-Verse, which character would you like to start the franchise? More treats for Doug. You got it. Colton, I cut you off. Let's do that, then talk about who we want to see in the franchise.
I was just going to say it would be pretty dope if they did a Miles Morales like trilogy live action and had it take place in the Andrew Garfield universe and have him be like the mentor Spider-Man and then have him die at the hands of like an ultimate goblin or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. But
again, we saw that in I just don't see how you could improve on the story from the first Spider-Verse movie. I know it happens in the comics, Peter dying and stuff, but when Peter died in the comics, what was important about that is it was the Ultimate Comics and he was young. He was still a teenager. The reason like Nick Fury didn't make him a member of the Ultimates is because he was under 18. So you had this added element of a 17-year-old kid getting murdered by a supervillain, and now a 13-year-old kid becomes the new Spider-Man. It's not there. I mean, I don't know. Could be. I mean, they could also do that. Give Andrew Garfield a good way to like say goodbye to the character, which I kind of think he got with No Way Home. But
I don't have an answer to the other question. I don't want it. I do not want this other thing. I can't even think of who a good character would be.
I mean, I rattled off a few. I mean, the Prowler is a good character. Silver Sable, Black Cat. Apart from them, but here's the thing: there's storylines from the comics that can be interesting, like Hobgoblin, right? So Hobgoblin is a mercenary, supervillain, whatever, who gets possessed by a demon and becomes like Demogoblin. And that's cool. That could be something really fun. Eddie Brock's entire character has always been about seeking revenge on Spider-Man. Years later, they altered it and he became more about like disapproval from his father and all that stuff. But even that's not in the movie. You know, none of these characters for me, they need Spider-Man as that counterbalance. I mean, again, I brought up the Lizard because he at least has an interesting arc in the comics where he has a disability and he's a genius and it's this Cronenberg fly thing that happens to him. But that goes back to Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I mean, it's all playing off the same tropes, but what made it different is it's a superhero movie with a Spider-Man in it. If you're not doing that, then Kraven is just an action movie. Madam Web is just a piece of crap, which reminds me, Call Me John gave us $2 and said, say something nice about Madam Web.
No.
The first time they did that camera rotate trick, I was like, oh, that's neat.
I liked how it was shot.
Yeah.
Cinematography is nice.
Yeah.
I think seeing
the costume design of Ezekiel.
Yeah.
That was cool. Yeah. Tommy, go ahead.
I think seeing Madam Web at midnight for work and drinking pushed me to get sober.
That's great. Yeah.
Oh, I got two nice things.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
You're going to say the CPR scene, aren't you?
No, I was going to say Sydney Sweeney, and then I realized I said two nice things. And that made me laugh.
Go ahead. Well done. That's the kind of classy action you can get here on ScreenCrush, everybody. Nice. That is a loaded cast, though. Isabella Merced, like before Last of Us, like it is like they were so excited. You guys remember they were on Instagram like tagging Marvel Studios when they got cast because their agent was like, "Yeah, you're going to be in a Marvel thing," and they just like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
They were all lied to. Yeah, we were all
lied to. We were lied to so much about that movie.
Yeah, I got the one dumbass popcorn bucket.
I do. They never actually released it though.
Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't release it.
Yeah. I like Adam Scott, and I thought Adam Scott was in the movie.
Yes, he was.
Remember him in the movie?
He was in the movie.
he was one of those. Sometimes you see a show or a movie with a great actor in a bad movie, bad actor in a good movie. It works both ways, you know. We got a couple more here. We got Gambit with a bunch of numbers. Gave us $20. Oh my gosh, thanks, Moneybags. Just got on, so if I'm saying things already covered, my bad. With the way comic books are wrote, I'm kind of interested to see how Marvel and Sony do this to make a few separate storylines that somehow come together in the end. They have done storylines in the comics where events in one story branch out and affect the whole universe. My favorite example from recent years is during Jason Aaron's Thor run, they did War of the Realms where Malekith invaded the 9 realms. And it was a great storyline. And like it fed into like Gore the God Butcher and all the stuff they'd been setting up. And it culminated in this thing. Spider-Man kind of has always been defined by being separate from everybody else. When he became an Avenger, it was a big deal because he always maintained like a distance and kept his identity a secret and never trusted it. It was a big deal if you knew Spider-Man's secret identity. Very few heroes used to know it. There's not that many that I would say would start in the Spider-Verse. I mean, Spider Island comes to mind, but there's not too many that I would say, yeah, that could totally affect everything. Unless, like, I don't know, the Sinister Six took over the world or something like that.
I mean, you could maybe do something cool with Null, but they kind of ruined that. So
yeah, that was a good storyline. Started in the Venom books. Mostly what I liked about the Null books was just it introduced some cool lore to the Venom stuff. Like I liked that their home world was a prison. It was a bunch of aliens swirling around Null. That was awesome. But at the end of the day, Null's whole deal is I like dark, kill light. He's basically Malekith from Thor: The Dark World.
Ryan, I thought you called him Kunnel when you read the comics.
No, I read the comics in my 40s. So that one I'm cool on. I had the internet to help me out then. No, sorry, you did a cute callback and I just pissed on it.
Yeah, and you know, before I said it, because I thought about it and I was like, there's about a 50-50 chance he just pisses on it, but I still went for it.
No, I did piss on it. I'm sorry. No, but look. If Sony wants to get ahead here, I think they need to follow the template of like other great superhero movies like The Dark Knigget, right? That's I would think that is the best Batman movie ever made. All right.
He's right.
The Pop Culture Connection gave us $10. Thanks so much. Says theory for brand new day. Ned and MJ started dating when they were at MIT. When they came home, she starts falling for Peter/Spidey. Ned gets jealous, becomes Hobgoblin. We get this a lot. We get people who want Ned to become a supervillain. How does Ned become I guess he's magic.
We're going to blow past Ned landing MJ. I love
listen,
Ned.
Listen, as a fellow big body boy myself, I don't think Ned's getting Zendaya. I don't think.
I disagree. Remember, he did very well for himself in Far From Home.
Oh, that's true.
And when he wears his hat, it gives him confidence, which is still my favorite line in Spider-Man.
I love Ned. I'm just saying that
we talk about Ned Fools, man.
Yeah, he's on our podcast. While Peter's, with MJ, like it's
okay.
We've also skipped over the one that was nice to me, so I'll read it.
I'm reading it right now.
All right.
Yeah, it gave us $2 from Canada. Said, miss you, Tommy. Hope you're doing great.
Christian, great to hear from you.
You guys are so advanced. I don't even have the chat.
Probably
best.
Well, you're banned from the chat, bro.
Yeah.
Let's watch this clip before we've got this clip here of Tom Rothman talking about scarcity. I didn't realize we had this clip. Let's watch this really quick.
I'm curious because he had kind of a generational run. How do you diagnose sort of the recent challenges or slight decline and how a lot of those movies have done?
I just think he would say the same thing. Scarcity has value. You got to make the audience miss you.
Now there he's talking about the MCU. He's talking about Kevin Feige. How dare Tom Rothman give Kevin Feige advice of all people, right? But I think he's also talking about the Spider-Verse films there, thinking that if we take them away, people will want them again. I don't know, guys. I'm going to end on saying I think this is a bargaining chip. I do not think that they're planning on rebooting these movies anytime soon. At the end of the day, movies are expensive and Hollywood is very risk averse. And I think a lot of these Spider-Verse movies were put into production back you know, before, like they already had Craven in production when Morbius was released, and you can't stop that train. It's the steamroller scene from Austin Powers. You know, you know you're going to get flattened, right? I don't think they're doing this, or if they are, they're saying maybe 10 years in the future, and I think they're going to be content to basically let Marvel Studios make them money for the time being.
I mean, what he said is not incorrect. I think that's kind of the case with Star Wars. Like, you know, we complain that we haven't had a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker. It's probably best that we haven't had a Star Wars movie since.
Well, it's because we want good Star Wars movies. If these are good, we don't care. If you look at the run that the MCU and like Pixar were on for so long, I'm only saying Pixar because they were on such a great run. I would have never said, like in 2017 and 18 and 19, I wasn't saying like, oh my God, another great Marvel movie. I guess I got to go see this one too. Like if it's good, then there's no conversation.
Yeah, that's true. That's some wishful thinking there with him saying, oh, we got to make the audience miss us. That's Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of like the really obnoxious person in the friend group that decides not to talk to anybody for 2 weeks, and then they have to slowly come back with their tail between their legs because nobody reached out to them. They're like, oh. And then
which reminds me, Tommy. Tommy just rejoined our group text.
Oh, hey guys.
Go. Great.
Sorry, I was busy.
What do you mean I mispronounced Knigget? What's that mean? All right, guys. I think we should wrap it up there. I think we've really solved a lot of problems. We've solved Sony's. God, please don't do this. I guess that's my final plea to everybody involved. Don't just think you can put spider adjacent things on screen and we'll make money for it.
Well, before we go, what about the animated Venom movie? You guys?
That's true. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, they are planning an animated Venom movie.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, why? I don't know.
Care.
Why
not just do more live action? I mean, there's the only thing you've done that vaguely works. Yeah. I mean, that being said, like that could be cool, I guess. But I'm kind of looking at it and going, why? Yeah. I don't know. Like
because can. Yeah.
Because can. But why not? I'll say this. I also asked why when I heard they were doing a show about the character from Rogue One. Like sometimes fans don't know what they want until they get it. If fans were in charge of everything would suck. I'm a big believer in that. But I will say that we could do better than what Sony did with Madam Web. I'm just going to throw that out there. Tommy Bechtold, thank you so much for joining us. Is there someplace you got to be right now? Oh my God.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that TV show about Bor Gullet was more of a porno than it was an actual TV adaptation. But other than that, I should get back to work.
Thank you, Tommy. And Colton Ogburn, thanks so much. You can find him here on ScreenCrush or on his own YouTube channel. Links for that are below. And of course, we want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Sony rebooting to something to do with Spider-Man? I think Universe, is it in any way a good idea? Is there a single spider adjacent character you think could support their own franchise? Do you think Craven deserves another shake? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Find me on Substack or on our free to join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.